This is the San Etienne against Manchester United preview. He is Stephen Alson. They are Statman Dave, Mr. John Shin, and of course, Joshy as well. And we are live, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us here live for the match preview. Basically, a few reasons why we wanted to do it live. So you guys can get involved in the comments below. And so producer Chris doesn't have to edit anything. Well, that's the main reason, really. But you know what? I like talking to you guys as well. Joshy, John, and Dave, thank you for joining us. Steve, thanks for turning up late as always. And guys, thank you for getting in the comments. Yes, Steve.
I opened up. What do you mean, late?
Opened up.
Wouldn't know early if it smacked you in the face.
Right, what are we here to talk about today then?
Football.
Yes, we are. And the first question that we're going to talk about today has been sent in by Sadiksha. She's been on the show before. Thank you for getting your question in.
Hi, Sadiksha.
And she says, is Wayne Rooney really injured? We've heard over the last couple of weeks rumours in the press about a move to China. We've heard Jose say he's injured and he's been injured for a while, although a week before he said that, he said he was rested despite not playing a game in a long, long time. What do we think is going down with Mr. Wayne Rooney? I'm going to come to you guys first, but remember guys, get your comments in below, because at the end of each topic we will hit up some of the comments. And firstly, we'll come to Statman Daddy.
Statman Dave, mate, come on, get that branding right. But anyway, in terms of Wayne Rooney, I don't know what's going on with him. Physio room, which is a great source for injury, say he's got a muscular problem, but that's pretty open. That could be anything from hamstring to calf to shoulder. It's just really open, and maybe it's one of these things that Mourinho's sort of stalling the team selection, or he's stalling Wayne Rooney being reintroduced into the side, because United in fact are playing very, very well at the moment for me, in terms of Henrik Mkhitaryan playing at number 10 and Paul Pogba if they want to play a little bit deeper in midfield. So maybe Rooney's muscle injury is just a bit of Jose just pushing it a bit on, moving the team on and saying, okay, look, we're going to slowly phase Wayne Rooney out and sell him on in the summer. So that could potentially be it. But what he's done this season, there's been moments where he's been really good. You think of the whole City game, the ball he put across to Marcus Rashford. He's been getting some really important assists. And if you look in the Premier League, no player's got more assists than Wayne Rooney. So for me, he's still an asset in this United team. But whether this injury is fake or not fake, I don't know.
Fake injuries!
Is that fake news? Dave, is that true? He's got the most assists for Manchester United in the Premier League. Is that I know that's probably a correct stat, but it's a proper misleading stat, isn't it? Because he hasn't been the most creative player for us.
The thing with Wayne Rooney for me this season, that he comes into games and he has little moments that define his whole performance. For the consistent 90 minutes or the consistent 30 minutes on the pitch, for me, doesn't play good enough. He doesn't merit a position in the starting 11. But assist-wise, yeah, Paul Pogba, of course, would be miles ahead if Zlatan Ibrahimovic could have taken some of the big chances created. Paul Pogba sitting on the Wayne Rooney on. So it's one of those things where Paul Pogba will come good, and Paul Pogba, I expect, end of the season, 15 assists, to be United's top goal-scoring creator. But at the moment, Wayne Rooney is number one. And again, I still think he's an asset.
Joshy, what do you think, mate? Wayne Rooney, is he off to China?
Well, look, I mean, there's a couple of ways to look at the question. I mean, the original question being, is he actually injured? And whether he is or he isn't, I don't think it really matters, does it? As you know, he has been managed well by Jose Mourinho. He's been phased out of the side. He's coming on for cameo appearances, or sometimes a bit longer. And he is having those sort of moments in the team, but he's certainly not a starter in the first 11. And also, when you consider the fact that Jose has been quite public about the fact that we're going to have a lot of fixture congestion, we're going to have a lot more games to play than other teams. It would be weird for him to start these mind games right now when he's going to need bodies in sort of when we've got these matches all close up together. So I don't think there's anything sinister going on. I think it's maybe a case he had a slight knock and maybe he was a bit ill or whatever, I don't know. And maybe just a bit of time off or something else. I don't know, it's difficult to speculate, but does it really matter? I don't think so. On another note, I saw just before we came on air or on the show that he's training today. So it's breaking news on Sky Sports that he's back in training. So, it might have been a little bit of a sort of misdirection from Jose, but does it really matter? I don't think so.
John, what do you think about Rooney's future, and where do you think he kind of lies in Manchester United's pecking order at the moment? Because we've heard a lot about Marcus Rashford wanting more game time, the papers say, but regardless of what they say, he has been getting game time. Mkhitaryan, Mata, Anthony Martial's back in the team now. we've got these players that are playing. Lingard started the other day. So where do you think Wayne Rooney lies in the pecking order at Manchester United? Do we still need him?
I think we still do, in the sense that he is still an asset. I mean, Dave was just spot on there in terms of what he can offer. He does still have his glimpses of moments where he can shine, providing assists, providing key moments in the match. But I don't think he will get close to breaking the starting 11. And I'm, no disrespect to Wayne Rooney, but the way the starting 11 is playing right now, like you just mentioned, with the likes of Mata, Martial, Lingard, Rashford, Zlatan, Pogba, Herrera, all sort of being involved in the fluidity and sort of that level of dynamism that Jose Mourinho has created going forward with these players. I think it's going to be really hard for Wayne Rooney to sort of break through, if anything. But with that being said, I think Jose Mourinho is still sort of keeping him around. You mentioned, does he have a future? I think this is sort of just the beginning of the exit stage for Wayne Rooney. I think this is sort of the transition package that he's probably sort of going through in order to make a move, perhaps at the end of the season. China, obviously being the big link that's been going around, he might probably take either China or MLS, to be quite frank with you. But I think this is sort of the beginning of the end for Wayne Rooney. And as sad as that might sound, or happy as that might sound for some of you guys, it's definitely a transition stage for him.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I think it's about time, because over the last couple of years, I felt Wayne Rooney has been one of our leading players, and why should expect him to be? I kind of felt he shouldn't have been, and we should have been looking to the future more over the last couple of years. And we've been relying on Wayne Rooney a lot. David Moyes come in, gave him a 5-year contract when it seemed he was going to be out of the door. Louis van Gaal gave him those privileges.
Made him captain.
And now with those captain's privileges where he started every game. So now do you think it's kind of right where he sits in the pecking order?
The end of every player's career, it's different in it for every single player, but every player's career, you go through this real sad stage of they're not the player they once was, and they're not the force of nature that they once was. And Wayne Rooney, at his peak, was a hair under the best player in the world. He was absolutely fantastic. There's no one can question that whatsoever. But his decline has been stark, and it's been quick over the last few years. And that might coincide with not having a manager and the stability like we had under Sir Alex Ferguson. It might be the responsibilities that he's had. It might be the injuries, or the fact that he's reportedly not looked after himself so as well as some footballers have at 31. You've got to remember, this guy made his debut. It was pretty much a regular from 16 years of age. And he was a man at 14, 15 years of age. He was full-sized. And the injuries alone would be enough to cut short anyone's career. But Wayne Rooney, at this stage of his career now, has played more than when Paul Scholes retired at 36. So even though he might only be 31, he's got a lot of miles on the clock. And I think that's something that we really have to take into account. I need that. What are you doing?
It's the way he plays as well, isn't it?
It is the way he plays. The way he plays, he went for this real physical sort of game. And that just can't last. Like, Ryan Giggs evolved himself from being the real tricky, almost like what you see with Zaha now, with lots of twists and turns and tricks, and he became this cultured sort of central midfielder. And Wayne Rooney's got some attributes that make him a good asset in a number 10 role, maybe as a second number 8. But I think that there's things that he's not managed to really adapt his game to. He's not really become that cultured sort of deep line midfielder. And ultimately, I think where he sits in the squad now, he would be a phenomenal squad player if we had him as a squad player. But when you're paying the sort of money that we're paying for him, you can't really consider
Steve,
that as a squad player.
Shut up,
or shouldn't consider that as a squad player.
I've got Chris waving at me like a madman. Someone in the comments called Zlatan said Rooney's future is at full-time
Shouldn't you be at training?
He should be. So I'm going to ask everybody the same. It's 2 questions.
Rooney would be like, yeah.
Will Rooney be here when the Chinese transfer window closes? Is the first question I'm going to ask everyone.
That's Tuesday, isn't it?
Will he be here?
Yeah.
Joshy?
Yeah, he'll be here.
John?
Yeah, he'll be here for sure.
Statman Daddy?
Yeah, he'll be here.
Right, and also Statman Dave, can you answer this one?
Yep.
Will Wayne Rooney be here next season?
No, I don't think he will. I think with his wage, the amount of wage that he's taken home per week, that's a lot of capital that you could use to get the likes of Antoine Griezmann, that's been heavily linked with Manchester United. Instantly getting someone like Antoine Griezmann is going to massively upgrade Manchester United in terms of goal scoring potential. And I think that with someone, when you take someone out like Wayne Rooney and you bring someone else in, it's a new Manchester United, and it's a new Manchester United that will be carried by players like Anthony Martial, Mkhitaryan, and of course Antoine Griezmann at number 10 or as a striker. You know, you watch him this weekend against Sporting Gijón. Yes, he didn't have the best of games in the first half, but the second half he absolutely exploded. Got 2 vital assists from different areas, 2 really decent passes. Very, you know, one from out on the right wing, one from a central area, close control, showing off his skills. He isn't just a goal scorer, he's more than that, and he can be what Wayne Rooney was for Manchester United.
Thank you, Dave. John, in a word. John, you answered, didn't you? You said no. He's not going to be here.
Yeah, he's not staying here. He's not staying.
End of the summer transfer window. I don't think he'll be here
next season. Right. Thank you, lads. I'm going to come up to some of the comments now. Most of the comments are about how Statman Daddy's catching on. We are going to come to the starting 11s in a bit, Shivank, so we will come to that. Multiple words. Right. Rooney will not go anywhere, says Chaitana. It's the Rooney debate once again, says Shivank. We have to talk about it because it's in the news at the moment.
It's
now,
also a massive issue for Manchester
United. Yeah, and we have
United.
written off the fact that, look, he's not going to China, we don't think anyway. He will be here for the rest of the season, but he's our captain, he's our record goal scorer. Whenever he's not in the team, it's going to be a talking point. Now, right, moving on to...
It shouldn't really be a talking point. It's just a couple. He's only been out for a week injured, and I just don't see why it's really an issue. He's being phased out of the side. Jose's managed him well, and that's all it is, I think.
Right, that's that. Then we'll never talk about Wayne Rooney again. On to number 2, and this one's been sent in by Scotty. Scotty says, "Is Luke Shaw dead?" Joshy, come to you.
Well, you know,
seeing as you're the doctor.
As a medical doctor, I'd like to examine him first before coming to any sort of definitive conclusion. But I know where he's coming from, and it's a concern because Luke Shaw, when we've seen him sort of playing in form, he's easily our best left back, and he's one of the best left backs in the league. Has the potential to be one of the best left backs in the world for quite a while. But since his injury, something's sort of going on this season. Jose hasn't fancied him, whether it's working, whether it's his work rate. It might be a mental thing since his injury. He's not quite at that level. But there is something going on, and it might be something as simple as Jose's testing him, wants it to bring him through, wants him to fight and really break through that mental barrier. Or there might be something more sinister going on. But yeah, I do agree there's something strange. Well, not strange, but there is something going on there. And Jose's either trying to teach him a lesson or there's something sort of mental or even physical. It's difficult to say. Obviously, as a fan, you want him in the side, getting minutes, getting back up to full match.
When he's had a run, he's looked good, hasn't he? When he's had a run.
Not this season. He's
not. Yeah, I mean, that's Luke Shaw, but I think...
well, I think he's had a couple of games together.
He's not really
I'll call that a run.
Yeah, I don't think he's had a consistent run in the side. I mean, Jose's preferred Rojo and Daley Blind, really, and at times Darmian as well. So... You know, it's difficult to really say why that is, but like I say, he's potentially our best option at left back. So there must be a specific reason as to why he's not in the side. Even the weekend was a perfect time for him to come in, and he didn't make the pitch.
Totally agree that he's our best choice at left back, and I definitely hope he gets back on the pitch soon. I'm going to come to you now, Statman Dave. Luke Shaw. Obviously, he's not dead, but what do you think the situation is going on at the moment? And also, do you think this is Jose Mourinho, with the treatment that he's done with Mkhitaryan, Marshall, Luke Shaw? Do you think it's simply Jose Mourinho dragging the standards up at Manchester United and dragging the levels up required to actually play for this team? He wants everyone to be perfect. He wants everyone to be 100% committed, both tactically and physically and everything else. So, do you think it's just a case of that, or Luke Shaw, is he not as good as we think he is?
It's an interesting one. He's still a young player, and there are issues with his game. You know, that performance against Watford that's massively highlighted that keeps going back to, where tactically he was very, very poor dealing with the Watford wing back. But in terms of what he's done with Mkhitaryan was a player that didn't play his best football at Borussia Dortmund for about a year and a half, for about 9 months. He's a player that takes time to adjust, and that's what Mourinho gave him. He gave him an adjustment period. He came in against Manchester City, wasn't up to the standard, so he trained with the players, and bang, now he's probably one of our best players. You think of what he's done with Anthony Martial, out of the side, in the side. Now again, Martial is looking brilliant at the really key time in the season. In terms of Shaw, it could be slightly different. I'm not sure if Mourinho is a massive fan of Luke Shaw. I think he potentially, at the moment, definitely prefers someone like Daley Blind. He keeps on talking about having a fixed back four, and Luke Shaw isn't part of that at the moment. Luke Shaw is a young player, though. We've got to remember that. If potentially he's sitting on the bench for the rest of this season, that might do him some good. It might do him some good to try and work back into the team and earn that spot, not just be the first choice, because he has been that at Manchester United and was at that at Southampton. Maybe having this competitiveness for that position will do him good in the long run, and he'll learn a bit more through the coaching, through the time at the training ground. So for me, it's fine right now. Luke Shaw, I wouldn't worry about. He's staying at the club. He's staying at Manchester United.
Yeah, Jose Mourinho said something similar in the press as well. John, what's your thoughts on Mr. Lucas Shaw?
I was just going to touch up on in terms of transition. If you guys don't remember, when we first signed Luke Shaw, he didn't just jump into the starting 11 and start, going guns blazing, firing all cylinders. He had a tough time adjusting, and it almost took him, if I remember correctly, it almost took him an entire season, especially with somebody like Louis van Gaal coming out publicly stating that Luke Shaw wasn't physically fit. He needed to drop some weight and things of that nature. And then before you knew it, he was up on the starting 11. He was being fantastic on that left-hand side, and he really had this good synergy alongside Memphis before his injury. And I think, once again, this is sort of another transitioning phase for Luke Shaw. And Dave was spot on. He's young. He still has a lot of time. If there's only one thing that I should be concerned is an absolute lack for consideration. I mean, you're looking at Daley Blind, Rojo, like you guys all mentioned, Darmian at left-hand side. I think that the fact, for me, watching Darmian on that left-hand side really sort of cut the flow, or it just really looked very segmented in terms of how we really transitioned or going forward on that left-hand side. And the fact that Jose Mourinho continuously opts for these sort of players rather than Luke Shaw really means that there is a cause for concern, but at the same time, we should also sort of take that with a pinch of salt and understand that this is probably a transitioning phase, and that Luke Shaw will come good at the beginning of probably next season or something like that.
I hope so too. Quick thoughts from you on Luke Shaw before we move on, Steve.
I'm trusting Jose at the moment. I think what he's done with Marshall and what he's done with Mkhitaryan, he's proven that there's a little bit of tough love going on with Jose Mourinho. And do you know what? If the players aren't up to it, I don't care. I simply don't care. If you're not up to it, then move on. Because Jose's had players let him down at Chelsea, and I think he wants to avoid that at Manchester United. And at the end of the day, wages means nothing at the end of the day. But these players are paid unreal amounts of money. If they're not prepared to put the work in that the manager wants, or they are putting the work in and they're not up to the standard, get rid of them. Why are we wasting our time and energy on players that either aren't up to the standard or aren't willing to put the effort in to become that standard? I'm not saying that's what's happening with Luke Shaw, but it seems like Jose wants something out of him, so he either needs to work to achieve it or he needs to move on and play football somewhere else.
Yes, cheers, Steve. Getting in the comments quickly now as well before we move on to your predicted 11s. Rooney away goal to China, says Man United. AMG and a few others say I hate Zlatan. Oh, piss off.
Just boring now, isn't it?
Stephen is trusting Jose, no worries. So Sophia agrees with you. Why did God make Scouse stink of shit, says Tom Levick. And I think on that note, we move out of the YouTube comments and over to... YouTube comments are crazy, man. Right, on to starting 11s. Now, we have been playing a game recently. Before we go on to the starting 11s, we're going to go to a little ad break. Right, starting 11 time. Who will play? Remember, Herrera is suspended. Now, John, we told you this. John,
4 times.
You've got a whiteboard with the injuries, the suspensions, everything on it.
Didn't fill it in.
And you still forget that Herrera is suspended. That's bang out of order. But, John, good news is you are joint top at the minute with Howson on 41 points. I'm 5 points behind you.
Only because what? Because
I got 5 points behind you.
He needs dropping for
and
putting Herrera in.
I played
today.
less games.
Unbelievable.
I'm disqualified from today's game because that's bang out. This is an agenda against
Do you want to phone
Agenda.
Agenda. Right, guys, starting 11. I'm coming to the doctor first. Joshy, what's your team? You've got 4 points at the moment, mate, so you're really...
Well,
Put your ideas up, mate. You've done 6, what are you talking about?
I keep picking Gary Neville. Look, I think he'll go with, he'll have an eye on the cup final. So Romero in goal, Darmian, Smalling, Rojo, and I'm going to be optimistic and say Shaw at left back. but that's just optimism. Then Fellaini, not Herrera, but Carrick, and then Young, Rooney, Lingard, and then Rashford up top. I think he's going to sort of use the game to keep people back for the cup final, that first bit of silverware in his tenure at United, and obviously the first bit of silverware, proper silverware available for the season.
So do you think Young's going to be pushed further forward then this weekend? Sorry,
I think he's
midweek.
done that I think he did that slightly early on in the season. I don't know that. I mean, he didn't have loads of games, but he has done that, and his delivery is pretty good. He put in some good balls at the weekend, at times, and I think he might get that option up front. So this is only because I thought I wanted to be optimistic and say Shaw will come in at left back. This might be why I'm only on 4 points.
Yeah, you probably would have been better off saying Gary Neville than Luke Shaw, to be honest. John, what's your team, mate?
I think instead of resting players, I think Josie's gonna go. I think he's gonna go guns blazing and pick like a more solid starting 11, and I'm gonna go David De Gea in goal. David De Gea in goal. The back four, I'm gonna go Blind, Smalling, Bailly, and Valencia, and the midfield three, I'm gonna go Carrick, Fellaini with Pogba up top, a little forward. With Martial on the left, Mkhitaryan on the right, and Zlatan Ibrahimovic up top.
So yeah, you know what? Yeah, John. I think he will rest a few players. I think Romero will start. I think Ashley Young will still play at right back. But I do think you're right. I think he's going to surprise a lot of us and play the likes of Zlatan. Statman Dave. I was going to call you your new name, but am I allowed?
Not
to
a new name, mate.
Dave?
No, you're not. It's against the branding, mate. Got to think of these things.
Definitely in it. Everyone comments Statman Daddy.
Right then, Statman, what's your team, mate?
Well, I think I'm with John. I think John. Sorry, it's going to be the same. It's going to be an aggressive side. United need to win this game.
I made it, Ma. I made it.
United need to win this game. It's a massive one. The top four doesn't look as sure as it can be. The Europa League is a very good opportunity to get into the Champions League. I think Jose Mourinho knows that himself. So I'm going to go De Gea in goal. Back four is going to be the strongest back four at the moment. That's Valencia, Bailly, Smalling and Blind, Michael Carrick and Pogba in defensive midfield. Then I'm going to go with a three behind Zlatan of Mata, Mkhitaryan and Anthony Martial. And I think that's what it's going to be. I'm questioning John and Joshy's selection of Marouane Fellaini. Fellaini was awful against Saint Etienne because he didn't move the ball quick enough. United really struggled to sort of break and get behind the Saint Etienne midfield. It was too slow. When they started to attack with pace, when Marcus Rashford and Jess Lingard came on, United looked a hell of a lot better, especially Marcus Rashford. Go to the goal that kind of killed the tie, the second goal that Zlatan scored. A great darting run from Marcus Rashford through the middle of the pitch. Saint Etienne just couldn't deal with the pace, and that's why Mkhitaryan and Martial are definitely going to be in this side. Whether Mata or Jess Lingard are going to be in there, I'm not too sure. I'm going to go with Mata over Lingard, but I think it's going to be a pacey side. It's going to be a good United side. Getting ready for the cup final. Why not play on Thursday, Sunday, whatever? We've done it before, and we've done all right in a way. After we got adjusted to that, and it's a big game for United.
Mr. Stephen House, and remember, this is a crucial one for you. John's gone with a very strong team.
I'm 5 points clear. I don't accept.
You and John are on the same points
because I got deducted 5 points.
Well, there you go.
I don't accept the deduction, therefore it's not valid.
You do accept the deduction.
So I'm top of the league. That's all that matters. And what I'm going to say it's Romero in net. I think he is going to rest the spine. I think you two are mental if you think that he's going to go. The silverware I think matters more to Jose, and the silverware immediacy is right there for us to take. Southampton have had a week off. I think it'll be the best management of the squad when you're already 3-0 up. We're not going to lose 4-0 in San Etienne, are we? That's getting vined up forever if we do. But we're not going to lose 4-0 in San Etienne. So I think you can play a rotated side and you can concentrate on winning the cup on Sunday, because I think that's what in Jose's mind, get that and he's on the road to where he wants to be with Manchester United. So I'm resting the whole spine. So Romero in net. I want to see Timbo brought in at right back. I'm going to bring Luke Shaw in at left back, and then it's going to be Rojo and Smalling as my two centre halves. Don't know if he'll go with this, to be honest, but he might. 4-2-3-1 I'm going to go. So the two midfielders I want to see, Bastian and Fellaini, and I've gone for quite an experienced core.
Slow side, Jimmy.
That's what I said, wasn't it? And then a forward three of Mata on the right, Rooney in the middle, And who did I go for on the left? Martial with Marcus Rashford up front, because I think you can get behind this defence, and I want to see Manchester United get behind this defence.
Rooney's been house hunting in China for 3 weeks, and you think he's going to play tomorrow?
Yeah, he might. He might. Like I said, he might. I don't think he's playing on Sunday, so he might.
By the way, that's the slowest team you've ever picked. Mata on the wings, Fellaini, Schweinsteiger,
Yeah, but
and Rooney. through the
Rashford and
middle.
Martial and Timbo balances it out, and Luke Shaw. Don't worry about
John, you're going top of the league, mate. Well done to you. I'm going to hit up some of the comments. You've just deducted yourself 5 points there, by the way, Steve. So
He's getting a 4-point deduction for picking Herrera after we told him 4 times.
Satyam says he wants Blind over Shaw. Someone else said FFS Howson. I think you know what that means. What are the chances of Ashley Young starting on left wing?
FFT
Do you reckon?
442.
Josh, you put him in. Was it left wing or right wing? You put him, Josh. I know you put him in the team.
Somewhere in that area.
Tweet Dave and say, Statman Daddy, change your name.
Do you want to rest players? We didn't in 1999, someone said. Dean says.
We did.
We did quite a lot, to be fair.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
We had the likes
Shut
of
up,
Jesper Blomqvist playing.
Yeah,
Nicky
Blomqvist
Butt,
played a lot.
Sheringham and
lot.
Solskjaer
Yeah,
didn't start every week.
Yeah.
It's important to give your squad
Phil
players
Neville.
games as well, because you might need them later on in the season. Like, you know,
Wes
you've
Brown
got to
played
give
like
your players
24 times
games.
that season.
Wes Brown, I remember that time when Nemanja Vidic came through. Just before Nemanja Vidic came through, Wes Brown and Rio were playing together at centre half.
Getting haircuts together.
Amazing they were. And if Wes Brown never got injured, Nemanja Vidic wouldn't have. No one would have cared about
John
him.
Terry is a poor man's Wes Brown.
If you want to see Wes Brown, he was on the channel this weekend. Go and check that out. But yeah, so what we do now? I'm all over the gaff here. Oppo, what do you guys think of San Etienne, and what can they do to us? I'll come to Statman Daddy first. Statman Dave first. Sorry.
Oh, you mean me? Oh, thanks, buddy. Well, we saw the two strikers cause United a little bit of trouble. Omre Savon, ex-Newcastle, and Haruma, who played quite well. He drifted to the flanks, caused United a little bit of issue. Eric Bailly, though, dealt with him. But Eric Bailly was so good in the first leg against Saint Etienne in terms of... I thought the midfield was a bit... the defence
started off a bit shaky,
Yeah, he didn't start off great at
destroying
all.
people, blowing people up with his slide tackle. So yeah, in terms of the rest of the team, there's not a lot of quality there. And I mentioned before, there's a lot of space to attack their back four. If United can get pace in between the lines, it's going to be an absolute goal fest. You can expect like 4
Who
or
you
5
playing
nil
up front,
Manchester
Zlatan?
United.
All right.
That's that. Like.
Can you shut up a minute? Yeah, we got Statman Dave here
Daddy.
doing his stuff, and you're interrupting him. It's not nice. Just because you shared a bed together in Germany doesn't mean you can get your whole business out here. Dave, carry on. Sorry about that.
All I was saying was, I think that I mentioned before, if this Saint Etienne team will get caught out with pace. You think of the back four, quite big, quite old. Pogba at fullback wasn't very good. So I expect United to do very well on the counter attack.
He kept trying to go through Juan Mata, and I just see Mata always trying to run around him rather than run at him. He was a great sight.
Big lad, like.
Josh, what did you make of San Etienne in the first leg? And I don't think any of us here are going to say we think they can knock us out, but do you think they can cause us any problems on the day?
Well, I mean, if you look back at that game, they're probably better than the 3-0 scoreline suggests, but I don't think they really have that cutting edge going forward. And in the early parts of the game, the biggest problems we were sort of causing for ourselves with Bay, sort of that back pass that was short. So yeah, I mean, they've got a decent record at home in Europe in terms of, I think their last 10 games they're unbeaten, but in this season in their 5 games they've drawn 4 and won 1. I don't think they'll cause us a huge amount of problems. Hamuma and Saibet being, as Dave said, the two that looked remotely decent in the first leg. I think it should be comfortable, and I think with the final coming up, we'll take things easy. That's what I think, and just make sure we're solid. And then look for that goal just to put the tie to bed. I don't see them scoring 4 goals.
Do you see our record away from home in Europe hasn't been great. I think we've only won at Zoya recently. I think that's in like 6 or 7 away games. John, do you think we can actually improve that record tomorrow? Well, sorry, on Wednesday against Saint Etienne.
I think Joshua was spot on there. I think more than anything, I think it's about being solid. I think the solidarity and the compactness and making sure that we're staying composed in view of the upcoming final is probably more the major key. With that being said, I still think, as much as I'd like for us to keep a clean sheet, I think it'll be somewhat difficult in the sense that watching Saint Etienne play, they're past the previous 2 games before they played against us. I think we saw a lot of aggression. I saw lots of spaces being exposed in terms of gaps, leaving spaces behind their middle and leaving spaces behind their back four and things of that nature. So I think there is going to be an element of aggression coming from Saint Etienne, but also, with that being said, I don't think they'll have it enough to sort of push us out or even challenge the 3-0 lead that we have. So I think we should be okay for the most part.
Cheers, lads. What about yourself, Steve? Quickly, before we move on to predictions.
I think they'll go with the same sort of setup. We was lucky to be ahead at half-time in that game, to be honest, because the 4-4-2 press that they put on us really put us under pressure. And I disagree with Dave that Bay was solid in the first half, because
that's surprising.
It was awful in the first half. A complete difference to how he was the week before, where he was fantastic. But he did regain it, and he did become better as the game went on. I think they are going to have chances, and I don't think we win the game tomorrow. I think we go through, but I don't think we win the game.
Ooh. Are we going to lose?
It could go either way. I'm going to say I'm torn between 1-1 and 2-1 Saint Etienne. I'm going to say 2-1 Saint Etienne.
Yeah. So.
But if we get a goal, the tie's over anyway. So they need to score 5 then, and that's not happening.
Aidan wants to stroke my beard. If you make a payment to me via PayPal, you can come and stroke it anytime you want. Dave, what's your prediction, mate? By the way, guys, get your comments in below with your predictions. Sorry, Dave. Get your comments in below with your predictions. Now, Dave, go on.
3-1 United. I think United will turn the screw on the counter-attack. If they play pace out wide, they're going to cause this Saint Etienne team a lot of problems.
Cheers, Dave. And I was just thinking about your prediction. We will lose if we pick your team. John, what's your prediction?
I'm going to go 2-1 to United.
Go through.
2-1 to United?
Yes, sir.
And Joshy?
Yeah, I mean, looking at the team that I picked, I think we're going to take it easy, try and keep it solid. Our away record isn't great. Their home record's pretty sort of mediocre, but they're unbeaten. I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw. Comfortable, nothing major, not too many issues, and just go through to the next round.
I wish I could ask Cormac's question.
Florentin.
But I can't. But it is great. I'll tell you the first 5 words.
No, don't. But it's definitely thicker.
Which Pogba has the biggest? Right. My score prediction is 2-1 Man United. I think we're going to go through 5-1 in aggregate. I can just see that score for some reason. Guys, thank you for joining us today. By the way, I got a commercial seal time. WantMyBet.com. The link is in the description below. Get your predictions in, and you can copy people's bets as well. Don't copy his, because his team's wrong, his prediction's wrong, everything's wrong.
Who's
but
top
you
of
can
league,
go
mate?
and check that out.
Thank
Go and
you.
check the T's and C's out as well before you do all that stuff. Joshy, John, Statman Dave, thank you for joining us today, guys. Make sure you follow these guys on Twitter. Their handles will be below. Dave and John have got a YouTube channel as well. Joshy hasn't yet. Not yet anyway. He'll be on there very soon. But thank you for joining us.
No plans.
And guys, thank you for getting in the comments as well. Make sure you subscribe, like and share. I'm Adam. Here's Steve. We're all out of here.